So before I get out of here and release you to your awesome, I love this church. They prayed me well last time. I was sick as a dog before I came here. And literally, they prayed me well. I am not sick tonight, and I'm not talking about, but I'm going to share something that I've never shared about real publicly before because God said specifically to share with you guys. And, you know, I feel like sometimes we get up here and you hear about all the great stuff that's happening and the speakers, the speakers look all good and, you know, it's all airbrushing and it takes a village. I mean, I have body parts that are sewn into this outfit. I can't even breathe right now. I just want to look good for you. And my friend was like, and I didn't want to lose weight because I don't like you that much, you know, and so... It's true story. She's like, you can borrow my shapewear. Has anyone heard of that demonic thing called shapewear? Well, I tried to put it on in the hotel. Have you ever put on the shapewear and it gets stuck somewhere between here and here? And I don't know what shape we were going for, but I had to call Darlene at the front desk to cut me out. So this is the shape we're going for now, all right? Because I don't care. But I have been going through, you know, a lot. When I became a single mom 8 years ago, it was one of the hardest times of my life. And when I say I don't know that I had two nickels rubbed together, it was just really scary. And I just felt like, oh my gosh. And the devil just kept saying, see, now you're out. Now you're out. Now you're disqualified. He's been trying to get me to shut up for so many years. And every time he would try to do something to me, the message from the pit of hell was just stop what you're doing. And maybe your life would have some more order. Because I've had a lot of things in my life that weren't planned. I've joined a lot of clubs I didn't want to be a member of, okay? And so I've been trying to be hot supermodels for Jesus all these times. And I keep getting in these other clubs like divorced mom or NICU mom and all these things. And so when I'm like a single mom, I'm crying and I'm sad, but then I had that moment of clarity. And I was like, devil, you're so stupid. Because the more times you come at me, the harder I'm going to come at you, okay? The more times you put me in another circle, that's another circle of women that I can influence. Because I can say, I know what it's like to be there. I know what it's like. And that's another circle of women that I'm going to have. And I am not disqualified because you're nothing. You are nothing to me. And there's nothing you can do to make me disqualified from preaching the good word that God is faithful no matter what it looks like. You can't stop me. I mean, last time they had to like wheel me on stage. I was passing a kidney stone last time. I kid you. I know. So, but here's the deal. So 8 years ago, I become a single mom. I don't know what's going to happen. I think I'm going to lose all my ministry. But God just was faithful. And I just kept working and I kept working. And in 2020, I got to buy my first house in Los Angeles, which is like so great. Yes. And I closed escrow on February 28th, 2020. Right? 10 days later, a little something started called the coronavirus, and I just bought a house, and it was a fixer. Like, you don't get everything you want in a house the first time. You don't get toilets and sinks, and you got to give them a kidney and your firstborn, you know. And so I was like, I didn't like her anyway. And so... You guys, I lost all my jobs on March 10th, 2020. I lost all my jobs, like every single church. And everybody's like, you're fired, you know. And I was like freaking out. I mean, we all were. It was just a really scary time. I'm like, Lord, you got me into this house and I'm, you know, this mortgage. And I had zero income and everybody was locked down in Los Angeles. And it was just so hard. And I will admit it, my church went online, and my pastor might be watching, I was cheating on him. I was doing the Church of VeggieTales on Sunday morning. I was doing the Church of whatever's on TV on Sunday morning. And I remember talking to my pastor a couple months into this shutdown, and he's like, yeah, Kerri, we're working harder than we've ever worked. I was like, oh, man, I didn't think of it that way. But they really, they went to work harder for us than they ever have. And he's like, it's hard. We're working. People aren't there. They're not there to give. And I had been giving, you know, I had been taught to give. But then I was like, Lord, what is 10% of zero, okay? Like, you know, do the math. Even I know that one. That's not even Common Core. And so I felt kind of convicted. And the next time I was watching them, God said, give. God said, give. And I was like, okay, I have $1 and I'm willing to split this 2 ways, Jesus. Like, I've got a light bill to pay and I've got this mortgage people breathing down. I don't have an income at all. And you're telling, not Alex, he's telling me to give. And he's like, no, add a 0 on that. And I was like, Have you ever tried to give with a credit card and you hope it doesn't go through? Have you ever like done the electronic tithes, like the push pay, and you may not push hard enough, but it's a thought that counts? Has anyone ever had that? Like, it's not my fault. When they call you on Tuesday, like, your card didn't go through. I was like, I didn't know that at the time, okay? So I'll get back to you. And so I was like, okay. So I gave that Sunday, and I'm not saying things magically got better the next day, but like a week later, I get this package in the mail. And I'm from Detroit, and I have family in Detroit, and I have this cousin Carol. I haven't seen her for a very long time. Like a very, very long time I haven't seen cousin Carol or even really talked to cousin Carol. She sends me a box of chocolate chip cookies. And she said, I heard your book's out, and it became bestsellers, and I'm so happy for you. And I'm like, you don't even know. I'm shopping at the Dollar Tree for meat. Okay, that is what's happening right now. I know it's not real ham, but my kids don't. Okay, that's what's happening. And chocolate chip cookies, and I was like, oh God, thank you for blessing me. Like, God just has a way of blessing me. And she says in this card, and by the way, I just remembered I didn't get you a wedding present. Y'all, I was married in 2005, okay? So this came in 2020, and she said, I didn't get you a wedding present. And I'm like, well, thanks for the cookies. And then I opened the card, you guys, and in the middle of the card is cash. Cash, 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 cash. Make it rain, cash. More than I tithed. And I was like, Lord, you're so good. Lord, you're so good. Lord, you're so good. And like 4 days later, I chipped my front tooth. And Easter was the next day. And I was going to eat real ham on Easter. It was like a big day. And I was like, oh, Lord, you're never going to get me out of this one. I can't go to the dentist. I can't afford the bill. And the dentist is like, we'll open up for you. So it was like dead. Nobody's out. I'm like, all right, I got to go because I want to eat my ham. And so I go to the dentist. Nobody's in the whole building. It's totally empty. And I go up to the 5th floor, and there's this woman praying for this other woman. And I heard the word COVID, and her brother's in the hospital. I was like, see, devil, what you meant for bad, I'm going to take advantage. So I just went and like joined the prayer. And I was like, I'm going to use every opportunity because he met this chip too. So I start praying, and the lady, she's like, oh, that's so nice that you joined us in prayer. And so she walks me down to the dentist's office. I don't know who the lady was. I said, well, heck, while I'm here, what do you need prayer for? And she's like, I have insomnia. So I'm like reaching over the dentist. I'm like, in the name of Jesus, I'm just casting out the demon of insomnia. And the dentist, she's like, okay, and my allergies too. I'm like, in the name of Jesus. I was like, what do I have to lose? So I pray, and then he goes and he fixed my tooth. I didn't know this was the wife of the dentist. She's the receptionist. So I got my new tooth, and I'm going to check out, and they're like, cash or credit? And I give them a credit card. Have you ever done this? You're like, no whammies. Let's see if it works. Just try it. She goes, oh, don't worry about it. This one's on me. You bless me, I want to bless you. I said, oh, Lord, you're so faithful, Lord. You're so good. You're so good. And then the plumbing broke in my whole house. The plumbing just broke, and my roommate Debbie goes, dude, there's a plumber in our yard, and he dug an 8-foot hole, and he's taking selfies of himself. Do you know what's happening? Because in LA, if you're a plumber, you're obviously on Instagram too, right? And I'm like, oh my, and so, it was terrible. The whole plumbing, thank you, one person got that. And so, all the plumbing, and the bill was like really high. And I was like, oh, Lord, you're never going to get me out of this. He's like, I just got you. I'm like, I know, but that was last week, Lord. They just keep getting bigger, and this bill's really high. And I did not have the money to pay the bill. And I'm praying, and I'm texting. You guys just pray for me. And then, boom, 2 seconds later, there's $500 in my Venmo. $500 in my Venmo. And you know what's great about Venmo? Even if it's a mistake, they can't take it back, right? That's why you got to make them tithe on Venmo, Cassie. You got to tithe on Venmo. They can't dispute it. I don't know who tithe. And then I'm like, it's my front page. She from Michigan. Why is she texting $500? I'm crying. I'm like, oh, God, you're so faithful. And she's like, I don't know. My husband's business is flourishing, and we just prayed. We wanted to bless somebody, and God told us to bless you. I was like, you don't know. What does your husband do? She's like, he's a plumber. Right?